everyone, welcome to a podcast that she leads to. I think one thing people underestimate is how much pressure there is on young people to already have everything figured out in their lives, be it your future, your purpose, your career, your impact, and all before you have ever been fully entered adulthood. But today we have a guest who is someone who is not only navigating that pressure, but she's genuinely turning it into purpose. Kelly with us. She's a government student at Harvard University with a secondary in global health and policy. She's involved in advocacy, journalism, leadership, policy dance, and community organizing while still somehow staying grounded and connected to where she comes from. Kelly, I'm genuinely very excited to have this conversation with you because I feel like there's so much depth behind everything you do.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be joining the podcast. Like I was saying earlier, you guys have interviewed some of my friends as well, and just watching all of the amazing work that you guys are doing to uplift young women is so powerful. So I'm excited to be able to share my story and be a part of this beautiful mission.
Sweet of you. We are so excited to have you here. So, yeah, actually, I was going through a profile. So, I was just wondering that also, congratulations. You got accepted in so many Ivy League colleges, which is honestly very huge, big deal. But before all of that, did you always believe that you could end up in spaces like these?
Well, thank you so much for that. I'm originally from Jackson, Michigan, which is really close to the University of Michigan, actually. And so my entire life has just really revolved around the new Mich culture. I grew up, going to games at the big house, having like admissions officers like come visit my high school, and just really thinking that that was the path for me. So when you have when you have the privilege of having such a good school like that so close to you, I think for so long I never even thought about the Ivy League and never considered that as a possibility. But it was, I think, my junior year of high school that I actually had the opportunity to really be exposed to that world of the Ivy League from attending different programs. And that was when I realized, like, okay, I think this really is a possibility for me. And I think that the opportunities that I could get from attending an Ivy League is something so amazing. And so from here on out, I'm going to put in more effort than I ever have before to really ensure that I am able to get those opportunities when the time comes and when I am applying for college.
Relatable. Your school also plays a very big role in, you planning your future ahead, the kinds of opportunities they offer, and the kinds of insights you get from a teacher. So I guess it all matters a lot when you are planning for colleges and where to apply and everything because it's a very long process, the application process, applying for so many colleges. So it's also very stressful, right?
Yes, it was very stressful. I think for me, the most stressful part was just figuring out like what schools I wanted to apply to. I think it's very easy to have so many schools on your radar because there are so many good schools out there, but to Jen actually like limit it and try to figure out, okay, here's gonna be like my target schools, my safety schools, my reach schools, and you just want to be really strategic about how you plan it out because you also there's a big thing about you don't want to overexert yourself. There's only so much time that you have to complete all of these applications, and you want to be able to ensure that all of the essays that you're sending in and all of the applications you're sending in truly reflect the hard work that you've been able to put in your entire academic career and how much work you've been able to put in throughout this college application process.
True. So, like, what was your relationship with your dealing with pressure during your high school?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, you broke up just a tad bit.
What was your relationship with dealing with pressure during your high school days?
Yeah, so dealing with pressure during my high school days is something that I think everyone deals with, especially when you are in that. I want to say it's like around junior year is when the pressure really built up for me personally, because that's when you're starting to take the SAT. That's when your counselors are coming to you, telling you to start thinking about college and things like that. But I think the biggest part for me was really making sure that you had a balance between your personal life and your academic life. And I think that's something that goes into just college admissions as well. I think it's really important to realize that when you're applying to colleges, these schools don't just want scholars, but they want well-rounded individuals. So if you're able to spend your time in high school making sure that there is that balance between your academic and personal life, finding those activities that are non-academic that can allow you to kind of like de-stress in those moments of academic pressure, I think that's something so important. For me personally, one of the activities that I was super involved with all throughout high school and that I'm still involved with now is dance. So having that opportunity to, after taking the SAT or after having a really big exam during high school, after school, I immediately go to dance rehearsal, and that's my moment to really like calm myself down and be able to balance all of those pressures.
Having this work-life balance is also really important while you were in school, while you are in college, and like when you'll ever, like be working somewhere. So I guess having that balance is really important because it just keeps you sane. Like college is so hectic, and then like just going to dance or doing your hobby afterwards, it just makes you feel calm and relaxed and just happy, even if you're just so tired the whole day.
Yes, exactly. And that was also like a big part of me deciding my school as well. I mean, obviously, like all of the schools that I applied to were very like academically rigorous schools, but I was also at the same time looking into the dance programs at these schools. Like, how would I be able to include my dance life and my interest in dance in my college career and making sure that that was a possibility at the schools that I was considering. So, like for Harvard specifically, they have the Harvard Crimson Dance team. And at the time that I had gotten accepted into Harvard, they had just like made history for competing in the D1 Palm category for the first time. So they were really like at a place of like putting themselves like on everyone's radar. And so I realized like, okay, I can not only like be a scholar at this school, but I can also like still have that work-life balance and possibly join this team.
Yeah, I guess you made a good choice then because you were able to, like get in a good college with good with academics and everything. But you can also, have your hobby there. You can also invest your time and dance there. So yeah, I guess it's a good choice. Also, you seem very driven, but I'm just very curious. Like, were you always naturally very disciplined, or did you have to grow into that version of yourself?
Honestly, I've always been like a very disciplined person. If you ever ask me in like an interview or anything, what is one way that you would describe yourself? Like, what's your best skill? I'd always say it's my determination. Like, if I have a goal for myself, I've always been that type of person that's like very go, 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 and I'm going to take advantage of any opportunity there is to allow me to achieve my goals. And I'm very like goal oriented. And I honestly think that that comes a lot from just the people that I have in my life. I'm very grateful to have people in my life, especially my parents, that they're going to hold me accountable and they're going to constantly remind me of the goals that I have for myself to ensure that I'm continuing to stay disciplined and to stay determined. So that was something that was extremely helpful, especially through the college application process, having those people in my life that can consistently come to me and be like, okay, so where are you at with your college essays? Like, how's it coming along? And even now, like, as I'm in college, like, I was just finishing up all of my final papers that I have for my classes. I was completing those at home after I had moved out and just having my parents even just like come to my room and being like, okay, so what page are you at for your paper? Just like ensuring that you're, surrounding yourself with those people that allow you to stay in this deterministic mindset is really important. So, yeah, I would say I've always just been super disciplined, which is something I'm grateful for.
So, when did ambition first become, like personal for you instead of just academic?
Can you repeat that one more time?
When did ambition become personal for you instead of just being academic?
Yeah, so I would say when admissions like became possible for me, like it was really when I had those opportunities in junior and senior year to start attending programs at Ivy League universities that kind of showed me like this is possible and I want to make this happen and I want to ensure that I am able to eventually enroll in one of these institutions one day. I would say it was my the summer going into my junior year of high school, I had the opportunity to attend a youth summit at Harvard University. And it was like a climate change and health youth summit that I had attended. And from that program, I was able to meet so many different professors and students and just really learn about the culture at the Ivy League and learning about the opportunities that those students are able to get through just being at Harvard, and also through the program we were able to do a lot of research, which also made me really interested in continuing to do research at Harvard, and made me realize like, okay, my interests are very tailored to like law and healthcare, and that is something that I'm seeing right now at Harvard. I'm able to really continue that interest with because there are so many like resources at the institution. So that made me realize like, okay, this is something that is possible for me because I'm doing it right now. I'm doing the research right now. Why not continue it in 2 years when I am a freshman at university? And then additionally, the summer going into my senior year, I had the opportunity to attend the Yale Young Global Scholars Program at Yale University. And so that was another opportunity also immersing me into the Ivy League culture. From there, I was also able to connect with a lot of current students, a lot of current faculty members, and also it was another research opportunity as well, in which I was doing research on these topics that were extremely important to me. But throughout those opportunities of doing research, I was realizing like, wow, I'm able to get so far in this research, but specifically because of the resources that are available to me at these institutions. So from there, like, I just remember like connecting with all of the people that I had met at these programs, just like asking them like, can you look over like my resume and my essays and just like the different things that I'm doing and let me know like, is this possible for me? Because this is something that I have enjoyed so much and that I really want to continue. So throughout the entire process, my senior year of working on my college essays and applications, I had those people still in my corner, like helping me out along the way. And so that really made it possible for me. And so I think that also just like goes into another point of like having those people that have maybe already been through what you are currently going through, and having those mentors that can guide you through everything is extremely important for making these goals a reality for you. And just ensuring that you're always like using your research resources and like networking as well is a really big thing.
Yeah, true. Did you like ever compare yourself to other people, your peers, while you were growing up?
Absolutely. I think comparison is something that is just like so natural. But honestly, like when you mention comparison, the first thing that comes to mind for me is like comparison within dance. I think I was always comparing myself to people in the dance realm because it was always like I was a competitive dancer for reference. Like we were always at competitions, and like when you're getting score sheets and everything and you're being told like this is the place that you're ranking in versus this is the place that a peer is ranking in. It's so easy to compare yourself to others. But honestly, when it comes to academics, I think that I was less so comparing myself to others. I don't know exactly why that was, but I just knew like if I want to go far, I need to like focus on just myself and not compare myself to others, which is something that's really important. And I think I'm really glad that I was in that spot of not comparing myself to others a lot, because once you do start college, and especially like when you're starting college at an Ivy League institution, it is so easy to fall into that mindset of always comparing yourself to others, especially because you're essentially coming from an high school environment in which you're probably one of the only people doing the amount of extracurriculars that you're doing, most likely valedictorian of your high school, you're ranking like you have like one of the highest GPAs within the school. You're essentially, when you have these, at least for my personal experience coming from the background in the high school that I did, there were not a bunch of people at my school getting into Ivy League institutions, doing summer programs at Ivy Leagues. And so I was essentially, especially my senior year, I felt as if I was like put on this pedestal. And people, like, for instance, I always like getting interviewed by like local news outlets about like my Ivy League acceptances. You're put like on this like silver platter essentially, and then you go to the Ivy League and you realize, okay, I'm actually like, I think you go to the Ivy League and it's easy to fall into this idea of like, okay, maybe I'm not that special because you realize that everything that you were rewarded for in high school is stuff that everyone else has also been doing at these schools. Like, for instance, I was rewarded at high school for being valedictorian, but then you go to Harvard and everyone's was valedictorian. And so it's really like those moments like force you to really focus on, okay, I realize that those things that I thought made me unique in high school actually don't make me unique in college. So finding those things in college and really like digging deep into your why and realizing, okay, what are these things that make you unique? And I think when you focus on those aspects, it's really easy to leave that competitive mindset.
How did you deal with it, like in school, when you were like on the top of the class, when you had all the extracurriculars, which no one had, but when you moved to college, the switch. So, after being in college, when everyone has done crazy things in their lives, and like you are in the college, everyone's dream college, Harvard, Yale, these are like the top Ivy League colleges, which everyone wishes to go to. So, you have the best out of the crowd in the college. So, how did you deal with that comparison within yourself? Within among our peers, or how did you deal with it?
Yeah, that is honestly such a great question. It's something that I love to talk about because it is so easy to like immediately go start college and realize like, okay, all of these people have been doing the same thing that I've been doing. But that's when it's really like I was referencing earlier, like I really was able to take that moment to like dig deep and realize, okay, what is it that makes me unique and what is it that sets me apart from everyone else at this, because yeah, we were all doing a million extracurriculars in high school. We were all, getting super high SAT scores. We were all getting valedictorian of our high school. But then I focusing on like, okay, what were the other things that I was doing? Was everyone at this school a competitive dancer? Was everyone at this school, did everyone at this school come from an underprivileged high school? Is everyone at this school, I don't know, like an only child, like focusing on like kind of those things that make me unique and like focusing on those things that are crucial to my identity and what got me here besides the fact that I was doing these things in high school. I think another thing was also just like my identity as a Black woman at Harvard. I think that was something that also set me apart because being a Black woman is a part of my identity that has really shaped my beliefs and my values, and it has really shaped my journey to even get to Harvard in the first place. And so focusing on those aspects was something that set me apart as well and allowed me to kind of get out of that comparison mindset.
I really like your approach here where you are, just focusing on the things you're best at, and maybe you can, just improve those skills which are not common among your peers. Because that's such a great approach to look towards in, like academically and in life too. So I really like that. What do you think people misunderstood the most about, like high achieving students? There are just so many assumptions around it. What's something that you feel is the most misunderstood thing about that?
That is a really good question. I'm trying to think because I feel like there were so many assumptions about me, especially like in high school when you're like one of the only students that are doing like these amount. Like even to this day, like my friend group from high school, we joke around about how many extracurriculars I was involved in high school and like genuinely how insane it was. And I can only imagine like what they were thinking like when we were actually in high school and when I was actually doing it. I think there's a big assumption that because we spend so much time involved in our academics and because we spend so many hours like studying, doing work for student organizations that we're in, there's this idea that you're not happy. And I think that can come because there's this idea that like you're overexerting yourself, you're putting so many hours, you might be missing out on sleep that you could be getting because you're just putting so much effort and hard work into it, and that can in turn like affect kind of like your well-being and your happiness as well. But I think for me personally, all of the work that I put into my classes, my extracurriculars, etc. It's work that I'm putting into it because I genuinely enjoy what I'm doing and I genuinely have a passion and I have goals that I am working towards. For instance, like I just wrote a super long research paper for one of my government classes and it was a proposal that I spent countless hours on and I was putting so much work into it, but I wouldn't have put all of those hours into it if it wasn't research that I didn't care deeply about and it wasn't a passion of mine. And so I think there is just kind of like this assumption that like maybe we're doing this work because we feel like we have to do it. Maybe we're doing this work because we feel kind of like, okay, like this is just something that will make me stand out. This is just like something I want to do to impress others. But at the end of the day, we're really just doing it for ourselves. We have goals that we want to achieve. We have people that maybe we want to give back to, that communities that we want to serve. And so all of that and all of those reasons are what's forcing us to do this work. And it is really fulfilling, like when you do complete it, rather than depressing, as some people might interpret it as.
Yeah. And I also feel like even like I wouldn't say to that extent, but even I'm like similar sort of person because I feel like I'll rather have a lot of work with me rather than being just, like sit idle. I just can't sit idle. I just need to have, a list of things that I need to do. So I guess that just keeps me very motivated throughout the day because otherwise it's just so boring. I just feel so unproductive if I don't have like a set of things to be done. So I guess being busy is better than being bored and, just completely sitting idle.
Yes, exactly. Like I personally am someone that loves to keep myself busy. I remember for dance team, we actually did like senior superlatives or like our graduating seniors like give us awards. And last year my senior superlative was busiest bee because I'm just like always so busy. I always have some sort of work to do. And it's not because I'm like forced to do it. It's because I genuinely want to do all of this work because I'm just honestly so excited about what is to come for my future. I have so many dreams that I have envisioned since I was a little girl. So, any amount of work that I can put into achieving these goals, whether it's like a little simple like Google search that I'll do today about like my goal or like a research paper that I'll do starting fall semester or something like that. Like any work that I can put in to achieve these goals makes me genuinely excited. And so I love to stay busy. And I think it's something that has been really fulfilling to me.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'll be moving to Harvard as a college. What has your actual experience at Harvard been like beyond the image that people have seen online? Because there's like a lot, I feel like there must be a lot of difference between an actual experience there and what, like you must have heard from people from different sources, maybe online, maybe the alumni. So how's your actual experience there?
My actual experience at Harvard, it's been really great. I think every day I on campus, especially I wake up and I'm just so absolutely honored to have the privilege to attend an institution like that. And it's just honestly such a surreal experience. Like even I just finished my second year and it's still like so surreal that I'm able to be in this sort of space because I didn't come from a background in which everyone in my community is going to an Ivy League. And so even though I had always known like this could be a possibility for me, wasn't necessarily like prepared for what that would actually look like once I attended the institution. For me personally, I would say like one of the biggest things about going to Harvard or like something that has really stood out to me and that I've enjoyed is just like the amount of like people that you meet from different backgrounds. And I mean that in like so many different ways, whether it's like people from different countries, people of different religions, different races, ethnicities, etc. Like there are so many different people that you're going to meet. And it's so cool to learn about how everyone's personal background has shaped their values and their goals that they have now. And just learning about that has been truly like so cool and such a good experience for me.
Yeah. And also, apart from learning everything academically, being in such great colleges, you also get to know about people from very different places, their culture, and the significance of their culture and their traditions in their morals and ethics. So I guess that's also a great thing about being in such a great college. What's that one thing about Ivy League culture that most people romanticize just too much?
Ooh, that's a good question. Something that people romanticize too
Yeah,
much.
because like people just romanticize a lot of things about being at Harvard, Yale, this, that. So like what's that one or two things that you would say are on the top of the list?
Yes, so I would say this kind of goes back into like the conversations we previously had regarding like hard work and like just like the work that you're putting in. I've noticed, I think there's a lot of like discourse and like things on social media where people kind of romanticize like overexerting yourself at the Ivy League. Obviously, all of us students at Harvard, we have goals, we have passions, and like I said, we're going to put in as much work as possible to achieve those goals. But I am a strong believer in the fact that like putting in that hard work should never come at the expense of your personal well-being. And someone that, I stay up really late a lot of times, like doing schoolwork, but I'm never going to like miss out on a night of sleep or anything like that just because of an assignment. And so I think there's often like this notion of like, this is so cool that like I'm like essentially like killing myself doing all of these assignments and that like all of that is going to like pay off on the long run. But I think that like at the end of the day, like we shouldn't romanticize like essentially like our deteriorating like mental health for the sake of being at an Ivy League, if that makes sense. I think that your mental well-being should come before anything, even your academics. And so I think that is
Excellent.
something that I would honestly, I'm not a content creator by any means, but I would honestly love if there was like any sort of like Ivy League content. I'm sure there is out there somewhere. But if there was Ivy League content that maybe focused on like how are we balancing our mental health with this rather than like focusing on like pulling an all-nighter.
Yeah, true. What is something that most surprised you about the Harvard socially?
Socially,
Extracurricular, socially, something like that, yeah.
yeah, I honestly, going into Harvard, I did not know as much about the social life as I did about the academic life, which I think is just like a given for any incoming student. I would say my favorite thing about the social life at Harvard is specifically the house communities. So I'm not sure if someone or if you're aware of like the current housing system that we have at Harvard, but basically the way it works is your first year, you live in Harvard Yard, and all of that housing is randomly assigned through a housing application that you fill out prior to your freshman year. However, your spring of your freshman year, you form what's called a blocking group, which is a group of like 1 to 8 people. And that blocking group is like you're insured to be in the same house as your blocking group. However, each group gets randomly assigned to one of 12 upperclassmen houses. It's kind of like Hogwarts if you really think about it. But basically, it's like there's 12 upperclassmen houses. Your group will be randomly assigned to one of those 12 houses, and you find out on housing day, and it's like a really big thing. And you live in that house for the next 3 years of your college career. I thought that like this was just gonna be like, okay, this is just the house that I live at for the next 3 years. Like there's nothing less, nothing more. But
Yeah.
going into my sophomore year and being exposed to like the house culture, I personally am a resident of Elliott House. The house culture is something that was really shocking to me, but in the best way possible. Every time I walk around campus, I see someone sporting like an Elliott House crew neck, or there's always like different events within the houses, especially orientation week and things like that. Like, for instance, like our house had like a ski trip and things like that. And everyone is just like genuinely so proud to be a part of their set house that they are in. And we also have like house intramurals as well, which was something that was really cool. So just like seeing the culture, the social culture specifically regarding the housing communities was something really shocking to me, but I absolutely love it. And like I'm so honored to be in Elliott House, and I absolutely love our community. It's so fun, especially like just like within classes when you introduce yourself, everyone always like also mentions their house affiliation. And just seeing the unspoken solidarity that there is, like the moment that you meet someone in the same house as you, is something that's like so special and I love.
You must be feeling like, oh yeah. we have that connection. We are from the same house. Is it like sorority or something like that, if I'm not wrong?
Yes, it's like honestly like the moment you meet someone from your same house, like it's funny because there's also just like this little like competitive aspect to it as well, like who's in the best house and things like that. And like everyone thinks their house is the best. And so I think that's also something that's so cool as well. The way that like everyone thinks so highly of their house and everyone has so many little like special things about their house that makes it special and that like makes them proud to be a part of it. Like for instance, for Elliott House, we have like a spring formal that's called Fete. And so like being able to tell people like, okay, well, my house has like spring formal Fete, like that's something that's so cool about my house. But yeah, I absolutely enjoy that part of the social aspect of Harvard.
If I may ask, like, what does a normal day in your life actually looks like? Like a day in life of Kelly.
Yeah, a day in the life of Kelly. So I'm gonna think, I feel like all of my days look a little different, just kind of depending on like my class schedule, my club schedule, as well as my dance schedule. I'm always really strategic when I plan out my courses for a semester, making sure that I'm able to have those days of rest and I have like my busy days and I have my days of rest. So for instance, like this past semester, I didn't have any classes on Friday. So a Friday for me looked like I got to sleep in a little bit. I would start off my day by going to the gym, then eating lunch, maybe doing laundry, and then I just honestly spend the rest of the day studying and working on assignments. That was it. And honestly, that was like a pretty chill day. Like I'm able to just kind of like have those moments of rest, but also be productive at the same time. On the contrast, I would say a busy day for me would look like so I wake up pretty kind of early, maybe like 7, 8 a.m. I have like classes throughout like the morning. I always make sure that I have like a lunch break in between like my class schedules. So maybe I'd have my lunch from like 12 to 1 and then I go back into maybe like another class or a section. Then after classes, I think this past semester all of my classes ended at about like 3 or 4 p.m. After that, I normally just like give myself like time to rest, and just like really like take in the day. Maybe if there's like assignments that I have, I'll work on that. But I don't pressure myself too much because like I know my things will get done. And then from there, I'll normally, obviously have dinner and my club meetings are always later in the day. So those will be at around like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. And so just working on different club meetings, whether it's like the Association of Black Harvard Women that I'm a part of or the Black Pre-Law Association. We have meetings for those clubs where we're just planning out future events that we're going to have, planning out like logistics of different ideas that we have as well. And then from there, I have Harvard Crimson Dance Team rehearsal, which is always from 8 to 10 p.m. And so that's always like my favorite. A lot of people always ask me, like, would you rather, like, because most athletic teams have their rehearsals like really early, or not the rehearsals, but their practices like super early in the day, like before classes start, whereas ours are completely different. We go from 8 to 10 p.m., which is like the end of our day. But I honestly love ending my day off like that. I think it's like such a good way to just kind of like de stress after you've gone through like so much like club planning, so much like course materials. And then from there, after rehearsal, I kind of just like it depends on how I'm feeling. I never want to like I was referring to like mental health earlier. Like if I need those moments where I should just go to sleep, then I'm going to do that. But if I'm feeling good, I'm going to work on my assignments. And then that's basically my day.
It's good to see how you prioritize things very well, and I guess that's something I really lack in. So that's some skill I need to borrow from you. But yeah, what about on a day when you don't have any assignments? Like, what would like a perfect day for you look like without any work or studies?
Without any work or studying.
Not have any assignments, no submission, no deadlines.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
normally,
dream.
like, yeah, so I am very, like, honored and, like, lucky to be in a city where, like, there's a lot of, like, cool things to do. Personally, like, my favorite thing, this doesn't, like, relate to the city at all, but I love, like, when I have the time going to the gym. I found, like, my freshman year that that was, like, a really good way for me to just kind of like calm my mind, and like by going to the gym it allows me to just like stop thinking about like everything else that's going on, and I'm just like only focusing on myself. So I would love like starting off my day by doing that. And then honestly, just like if there's ever the time, like Boston is such a nice city. So if there's no assignments due, there's no club meetings, like Boston is absolutely great. I am absolutely obsessed with shopping. I think everyone that knows me knows that. So going shopping is like such a big deal to me, and like I'm so grateful that we have Newberry Street. There's so many fun places there that you can really just like have such a good time. And so I think it's honestly like you can enjoy those experiences so much more when you know there's not like an assignment or a paper due. So that's like something that is like so much fun, especially when like my parents like to visit me as well. And so I love like whenever they come to visit me, I make sure to like get my assignments and papers in so that when they're there, I don't have like anything really academic to worry about. And so I always like go to Newberry Street with them. We go get fun meals and things like that as well.
And also, shopping is like the best retail therapy ever. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever I'm coming to Boston, I'll be asking you for all the recommendations. But yeah, what's your like I have my life together moment versus like the reality?
Wait,
Like
can you repeat that one more time?
you must be like you must have so many things to do in a day, and you must like you have to set your priorities straight. So it must be very hectic for you, right? So like what's your I have my life together moment versus like the reality? Like do you plan well or like what when things go hectic?
Yeah, I think like planning is something that's like really important, and you're involved in so many different things. I like it's not something that I did as much in high school. I was just kind of like a little more sporadic with all of my responsibilities, but I was still like getting everything done, but it was just a little more hectic. But then I kind of realized like coming into college, and I think that comes especially from like when you're in college, you're meeting people that are so much more older and so much wiser than you. And so kind of realizing like, oh my goodness, these people have their life together. Like they are so well organized. Like it kind of goes into what I was saying earlier about like mentorship. And so just like being able to ask them like, okay, like how are you able to figure out your priorities? How are you able to balance everything? Like what are all of your tips? And I'm going to be so honest, like the biggest takeaway from all of those conversations has always led back to just like having like a clear like schedule, whether that's like digital or written. So, like, immediately, like, the moment I know of any task that I have or any assignment, it's immediately going to go into Google Calendar. Or even if I know that, like, I have, like, something I need to work on, like, planning my entire, like, study schedule is something that's been, like, big for me. So, even, like, talking about, like, how last week I was working on all of my final papers at home. Like, I knew realistically, like, if I just tell myself to do that paper, like, I don't know how much of it will get done. So, like, genuinely just, like, going into Google Calendar and saying, like, okay, from 10 to 2, I'm going to work on the paper. And then from 2 to 3, I'll have a break. And then I'll go back from 3 to 6. Like, genuinely having such an in depth schedule that, like, you don't have time to really, like, question, like, whether and, like, what you need to be doing is really important for me, and, like, balancing all of those hectic aspects of my life.
So you're like a Google Calendar person or like a person who notes on everything in their diary and having a schedule written?
Yes, definitely Google Calendar has been, like, really important for me.
Also, like now I have a very fun segment for you. So that's it's basically this or that. You just have to, like quickly answer like either of the one options and you just don't overthink anything, just answer like very quickly, okay?
Yes.
So would you rather be in a policy room or like a newsroom?
See, this is like a good question because
Got to be quick.
I'm like involved in both realms, like a policy room and a newsroom. I would say a policy room just because I'm someone that has always found myself to be very like outspoken and very opinionated. And so I think in that type of room, like opinions are extremely needed. And so I would hope that my opinion would be really valued in that type of room, and that I would be able to effectively like contribute to some sort of like positive change. But a newsroom is good as well because I do some newspaper work at heart, but I was actually like extremely involved in newspaper in high school. Like that was probably like my top, besides dance, newspaper was actually like my top extracurricular activity in high school. I actually served as editor in chief of my high school newspaper. So I
Wow.
like literally spent every single day of high school in the newsroom. So it's crazy that I'm like saying that I'm not going to pick the newsroom, but I guess I can say like I've already spent enough time there.
Yeah, I guess you have your share of, like experience in the newsroom. So now it's time for the policy room.
Yes.
Would you like being respected or like being like,
I would say being respected. I think I've gotten to a point in my life where I've had to come to the realization that not everyone in life is necessarily going to like you or agree with your opinions, but you can't worry about what other people think of you. You just need to focus on yourself and keep doing what you're doing as long as you know that like that is what makes you happy and that's what you want to be doing. But regardless of if someone likes you or not, everyone deserves respect in life because everyone is going through their own personal things. You never know what someone else is going through. So even if they have maybe like opinions that you don't agree with, you need to respect where they're coming from, respect, maybe it's like their background or something that is like shaping the way that they are, shaping their values. And so I think respect is something that is so important. So I would definitely rather be respected.
yeah, I guess it was the easy question, but um, are you a person who likes being over prepared for everything or more of like a very chill, I'll figure it out sort of person?
I am such an over preparer, like genuinely in every single aspect of my life. I think it's just like something that has like allowed me to. I think when I'm over prepared for something, there's really no room to like worry about something potentially going wrong because it's like I have like a plan B, I have a plan C, maybe even a plan D. Like I have like so many, like just like have so much like prepared that like there's less to worry about. Whereas when you kind of are like a little underprepared or more like going with the flow, for me personally, I found that like when going that way about things, I worry more because I'm like, now there's so many unanswered questions that I'm like unsure of. But that's just me personally. So I would definitely rather be over prepared.
Yeah, and I also feel like when you're over prepared, when you really look into things beforehand, so you actually feel more confident being in a room where you already know what things you're gonna say and your perspective about things.
Yes, absolutely. Like being in a room where like you know what's going to go on and like you are certain about like how things are going to go down is something that I think is just like so important because it just like calms your state of mind. And I think like being able to go into a space, whether that is like the classroom or a meeting or an interview, like being able to enter those spaces, like having less to worry about and knowing like with full confidence that like you absolutely got this because you already know and are prepared for what's to come is really important.
Yeah, true. Are you a coffee person or like a matcha girl?
This is gonna sound crazy, but I am neither. I am not.
What person?
I don't remember the last time that I've tried coffee and I've never tried matcha. Like I'm just like not, I don't know. Like I've just like never found myself being into it, which is very interesting because all of my friends are like extremely obsessed with like matcha and coffee. So like whenever we go and like stop at like coffee shops and stuff, I'm like such like I'm a big refresher person. So like if it comes to like I'm like absolutely addicted to Starbucks and Dunkin', but you will never catch me drinking like a coffee or matcha. I'm always going to be getting like a strawberry acai refresher, like a mango pineapple refresher. Like that's my realm.
But that's different. Yeah, like half of my friends loves coffee and half of my friends are into matcha. So we always fight like, yeah, this is a good place to have coffee. This is a good place to have matcha. So we just have a conversation around that. But you are completely a different person.
But yes, I'm definitely like the odd person out, especially because at like one of like the most popular places on campus at Harvard, it's like if you ever pass, the building is going to be absolutely packed. And that is Blank Street and it's a matcha place. And so a lot of times like when I'm with friends, like everyone's like, "Oh, we need to order matcha." And then I'm like, "Okay, so I'll order my like Starbucks refresher and I'll meet you guys along the way."
Yeah. But it's nice too. Like even I go for some refreshers every now and then. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
good to have. Yeah, moving to our segment. Are you a big city person or like a small town sort of person?
That's a really good question. I feel like I could see myself being a little bit of both. So I'm
You
from
have to choose
Jackson,
one.
Michigan, which is a small city. It's not necessarily like I wouldn't classify it in like the small town realm, but it is a smaller city. And
Hmm.
so that kind of experience has been a little different than like once I came to Boston and like got to experience like the big city life. I like both. I would say the big city realm is definitely more fun, especially like when it's for like a trip or something like that. I'm a big fan of Chicago. That's like a place that I go with my parents all the time. It's very fun and I absolutely love that. And so for that reason, specifically, I would definitely say big city. But at the same time, I think I kind of associate that like small town, small city aspect with home and just like with family. And so I have so much love for that as well.
Even I have my friends living in Chicago, so even they keep telling me now and then, "Okay, oh yeah, it's such a great place to be. We're having so much fun and all that." So yeah, I guess it's a great place to be.
It's so great. It's amazing.
Yeah. Are you more like a late night productivity person or like a early morning person?
I am such a late night person. Oftentimes, like, I don't know what it is, but I genuinely just think that I am more productive at night. And so that is really what contributes to me being a late night and like a night owl. Even when I try to like wake up early to do work, like, it's not that I can't wake up early, but I genuinely just don't think that like the work I do early in the morning as is as productive or effective as the work that I do late at night.
True. Are you more like a speaking first person or like observing first and then speaking first?
That is a great question because I see myself like being a little bit of both.
You're being very diplomatic.
But I would say speaking first, especially if it's in like some sort of like environment where like everyone is giving a speech or something like that, or everyone kind of has to like go up and like say something. I'm always the type to volunteer to go first because I've always just kind of liked that aspect of being able to like set the tone for like what is to come during maybe like the program or just like setting the tone of like the room.
Would you prefer being in a comfortable outfit or like being overdressed for no reason?
I just saw like something about this and I was just having this conversation with a friend actually because we had saw something about this. I think I'd rather be like dressed up or like overdressed, which might sound like
Yeah.
interesting, which like obviously like who doesn't love being comfortable, but I also think at the same time it would be more embarrassing for me to like walk into a space and be
Underdressed.
underdressed rather than walk into a space and be overdressed.
True. I agree. Agree with that
Yeah.
100%. I'd rather be overdressed than being underdressed. It's like, yeah. Also, like being dressed well makes you very confident and happy about yourself. So I'll rather just do it for myself than for people around me.
Yes, exactly. I think there's like such a positive notion that comes with like being dressed up and like being overdressed. Kind of like when you see someone that's like so put together in that aspect, you're kind of like, okay, they have their life together. Like they're definitely like have things going good for themselves. And like having that kind of like having people kind of like view you in that way is something that's like really important.
Yeah. Are you a person who would rather go to a networking event if you have time or just stay home and chill or maybe sleep?
It honestly just depends on like where I currently like am in life and like depending on like what other things that I have going on. So I would say like definitely like during the school year when I am super busy, like obviously I like to give myself those moments where I can like have fun and I'm like going out in Boston and like just like experiencing life, you know? However, at the same time, like there is so much going on. And so I think it's very important in those moments to like have a lot of time to rest. For the school year, probably like for the most part, staying in. But for instance, like now I'm officially done with my sophomore year. And so knowing that like now I kind of have like my mornings to sleep in a little more, like I have a lot more time to rest. And so really taking advantage of those opportunities to kind of like go to some sort of event that I wouldn't at other times have the opportunity to do, I think is something important to me.
Are you a group projects person or like I'd rather work alone sort of person?
It honestly just depends on the context and like who I'm working with. I think a group context is always like something that's really cool, especially when it comes to like academics and like school assignments, because you're able to get so many different perspectives and you're able to have like so many different eyes that are like observing this project, and maybe they're viewing different errors and things that you previously or like wouldn't be able to view alone. And so I think like teamwork is so important. I think I also say that especially because like one of my biggest things that I'm a part of on campus is a team, you know. It's the dance team. And so like really being able to every single day observe like how far teamwork can get you really has like influenced me to like say I'd rather work with a group, because I've seen firsthand how far people can get when they have a group working together. But at the same time, like I think you can get just as far working by yourself.
It's always good to have different perspectives about a single thing. Like you can just have different perspectives from different people and then, just think in a very different way. So I guess it's a really good thing to be able to work in a team rather than working individually if given an opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you rather go for public speaking or writing?
That's a good question because I love to do
Both.
both. Like I'm a big fan of both. I think I like starting off with writing, but then like being able to then like after you've worked so long like writing on some sort of topic, like being able to then like present it through public speaking is really for me what I think like ties it all together. So I think like both and they like work together.
What if you have to choose one? What if you could just do one for the rest of your life, be it public speaking or writing?
If I had to choose one for the rest of my life, I would say public speaking, honestly.
Yeah, good choice. Would you go for idealism or realism? Like, which one would you pick?
Can you repeat that? You broke up just a tad bit, sorry.
Idealism or realism? Which one's your pick?
That's a great question as well. I would say, I think like both are like have like their pros. I think it's so important to be realistic about things so that you never necessarily find yourself like in a way like getting your hopes up too high. But at the same time, I think it's so important to be optimistic about things, because that optimism is what really like drives you to have like big goals that are super important for allowing you to work hard and to get far in life. But I would say probably idealism, honestly. I think like looking back at my life, the reason that I've gotten to where I am now is because I had such big goals for myself that maybe at the beginning sounded unrealistic. They sounded extremely optimistic, but then the more hard work that I was putting in, the more time that I started putting into things, that's what allowed it to actually end up being realistic, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. I feel like this is like one of my most favorite segments because in this segment, you just get to know about we just get to know about you a lot better. Yeah, it was great knowing about you personally and what your choices were. Moving back to the podcast, you've talked about advocacy and leadership from a very young age. So, was there a moment where you realized your voice could actually create impact rather than, just writing it down and like not really speaking about it?
Yeah, I think there were a few different moments in my life. They all happened in high school that allowed me to realize, like, okay, I have a voice. My voice is powerful. And if I continue using my voice, it can lead to effective and positive change. I think one of the biggest experiences for me was being a part of this organization in high school called Youth in Government. So I was a part of a delegation at my high school. And on every year we would attend like the Youth in Government conference in the state of Michigan, which is when we basically come together with all of the other delegations in Michigan. And so preparing for this conference, what we do is we essentially draft like our own legislation. And then when we come to, and then we work on drafting this legislation for like half of the school year. And then when we come to the conference, that's when we propose our legislation to the entire conference. and you have to work to get that legislation passed by the Senate, the House, the Senate, and then you have to work to get it signed by the governor. Obviously, like this is all like a mock simulation, so it's not the actual like House or Senate or governor, but it's like students within the program that have been elected to serve within those rules. I'm having to present in front of all of them to hopefully get my legislation that I proposed passed. And so in that moment, I remember like I had never done something as big as that. And even though it was like a mock simulation, like I treated it as if it was real. Like I put in so much effort into what I was proposing. And I remember when I went to do my proposal, like obviously you're going to be asked with so many questions. You're going to have people that are trying to not necessarily like, they're not necessarily against you, but they're going to be essentially like questioning like why this needs to be passed, like why this should be signed. And so really being able to actively defend the legislation that I had worked so hard on, and even by the end of the conference I did get my legislation passed by the governor. That was something that showed me like, okay, like I can really do this. Like when I'm passionate about something, I'm able to use my voice to actively defend it as much as possible to make it happen and like turn into positive change. So that was a big moment for me.
Absolutely. Do you think young people today feel too much responsibility to fix the world around them? Like, there's just so many issues going on. Oh, what are your thoughts on it?
I think in today's climate, there are so many things like going on. And so I think a lot of times when older generations like see these maybe injustices going on, there is this like notion of like, okay, the younger generations need to fix this. I know a lot of times, like when I tell older people within my community, I'm going to school to become a lawyer. Their first thing is, then you can fix every single injustice that we're going through. But I think at the same time, whether or not you want that to pressure you is like your own personal decision. You can go into a field just wanting to do it at the surface level, and that is completely fine. And you can also go into a field wanting to like change the world, change everything about it. And so I think it's just like really having those conversations with yourself and realizing what sort of impact do I want to have, because both ways of going about things are equally as effective, whether you're going to kind of like work on kind of like the less maybe like visible side of things or working on like the super highly like visible side of things. They're both just as effective.
Do you think that ambition and empathy are hard to balance sometimes?
That's a good question. I think it can be hard to balance because a lot of times when you're going into these different fields and you're having to like be so open about your opinions and really like do these sort of things, it's easy to kind of feel as if like, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't want to hurt opinions. But I think it's really about like going into things like knowing that like you're doing everything you're doing for a reason, and you need to ensure and just like be confident in yourself and your opinions and know that like you have your values for a reason and you need to like stay beside them.
What kind of impact do you as a person want to, like, do you ultimately want to leave behind?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, for me personally, like one of the things that has really gotten me to where I am today is my community. Like for instance, I referenced this earlier, but like when I got into like the different Ivy League institutions, like my community was so supportive of me, whether that was just like them rallying behind me, them featuring me in different like news outlets and things like that. Like they were genuinely so excited for me, and they put in like so much, they poured so much into me. Like they just genuinely believed in me. And the moment I got into like Harvard and like accepted my admissions, like they were like, you go change the world, like we were so proud of you. And so because of that, like I really just want to eventually get into a space in life where I am able to give back to my community that gave so much to me, because I genuinely just wouldn't be in the place that I am without them. So that's the sort of impact that I want to make. I want to be one of those people that was known for, she didn't just leave her community and forget about it. She gave back to her community and she poured into the communities that maybe didn't have the privilege that she did. And so I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited for those opportunities, especially just like being like a black woman in general. Like it's not every single day that you see a black woman going to Harvard, and there's so many marginalized individuals that think that these opportunities aren't available to them, that think that they can't achieve these things. So I also want to leave behind that sort of impact as well, being able to show young women of color that you can truly, regardless of these restraints that we might have, like you can overcome all of it. And if you really want to do it, and if you really have these big goals, you can achieve it if you put in the hard work. And I'm going to be that resource to you to really allow you to achieve everything that you want to. So that's the sort of impact that I want to have.
You're just so inspirational. And yeah, my best wishes to you for that. I really hope you make such an impact because it is gonna help so many young women out there. Like you are such an inspiration for those young school going kids. And if they see ki, oh yeah, if she can do it, why can't we? So it's always motivating for people to see someone from their social circle getting into such top colleges, their dream colleges.
Yes, absolutely. Like exactly that line that you said, like if she can do it, then so can I. That's what I want, and that's what I hope that so many people in my community and beyond are able to say just because they were able to like view my journey, and hopefully it aligns with what they're currently going through.
Outside academics and leadership, who is Kelly when no one's just expecting anything from her?
You broke up just a tad bit. I'm so sorry.
I know, Aris. I was just asking, like, outside of academics and leadership, who is Kelly when no one's just expecting anything from her?
I'm sorry, you broke up again. Would you be able to type it in the chat potentially?
No,
Unselected.
no. I'm just asking, outside of academics and leadership, who is Kelly when no one's expecting anything from her?
Audio.
Can you hear me?